California's Gold is produced in association with KCET Los Angeles and is seen statewide on California Public Television. This series is endorsed by the California Teachers Association, the California School Boards Association, and the California Library Association.
Whenever our nation wants a glimpse of the future, it looks to California, a place that's always embraced the new. As a company founded in California, we at Chevron believe the same. So today we're in our home state, harnessing the sun, developing a new generation of fuels. We've been here more than 125 years, and we're looking ahead and seeing what's possible. This is the power of human energy, Chevron.
It's quite impressive when you're driving on Highway 99 through the San Joaquin Valley, which is one of the richest agricultural areas in the world. You're surrounded by fields as far as the eye can see, growing all kinds of produce from nuts to fruits to vegetables. But this adventure focuses on a whole new chapter of California's agricultural history. It's all very exotic, and it's all happening right in the San Joaquin Valley around Fresno. And it's very much a part of California's gold. Richard, this is absolutely amazing. When you stand here early morning, this beautiful scenic view out in front of us, and looking at what's happening here, where are we and why is this place that you have brought us so special and so wonderful here in California?
Well, at first guess, you would think that we're in Laos. Actually, we're here in Fresno County, San Joaquin Valley of California, the #1 county in California and the United States, and we're visiting a farm of an ethnic group called the Hmong.
The Hmong.
The Hmong, which
They are from
Laos, which is right next to Vietnam and Thailand.
And why are they here, and why are they farming here?
They're here because during the Vietnam War, they were recruited as allies by the CIA, and they were referred to as the Secret Army. And as we all know, when the U.S. pulled out of Vietnam, had the Hmong stayed in Laos, they would have been persecuted, killed, or jailed because the country was communist and still is communist. So the United States has, and other countries have allowed the Hmong to come to their countries as refugees. So they're here as refugees.
And why here? Why in Fresno County, and why farming like this?
Well, in Laos, it's really interesting. They were either soldiers or they were farmers. And so when they come here, they're no longer going to be soldiers, and the next thing they know are to be farmers. And this all started back in about 76. We started getting our first group of Hmong farmers.
And they came to this area of California.
They came to this area because the climate is similar, the soil is similar, the land is less expensive. If they were on the coast, it would be very expensive. If they were in Minnesota, it would be very cold. So this is comparable to their country. It's a family farm. This is a true, we talk about family farms in California. This is a true family farm where the kids, now they're in school during the school year, but they do come back on weekends, and they're out there helping mom and dad in the field.
And here we go. USA right on the side of the melon. Here is our farmer right over here. Michael, you're also with the UC Extension, Agricultural Extension.
Correct.
What are we looking at here? First off, I need to meet this gentleman. Who is this fella?
This is Bohu Vu.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you too.
Now, back in Laos, what did you do back there?
When I live in Lao country, I was a soldier. My leader is General Wang Pao.
You were a soldier. How old were you when you were a soldier?
I was a soldier when I was 10 years old.
10 years old? And now you're here farming. And Michael, there are a lot of things being grown here. What are we looking at right here?
This is winter melon, and it's
beautiful.
And that's the opal.
The what?
It's the opal. It's another like a squash type.
Wow.
When the young fruits you use for cooking for eating, but the fruits mature, it harden, and you use to for a water container.
Are these from Laos? Are these grown
Yes,
in Laos?
Yes, everything here will grow in Laos.
Look at the size. Are these ripe and ready to eat?
Yeah. Ready to eat. You eat raw, you cook, that's okay. Same thing. Anything like we had no spray, same thing. I had a lot of customers that like my product a lot.
Yeah, we like this kind of stuff.
It's taste doesn't have any taste like a lot of water, but when you cook, then it's soft.
And what are you holding there?
I'm holding a Chinese eggplant. And,
Chinese eggplant.
yes.
Look at these. These are absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And he grows this all here. How much land does he have?
20 acre, right?
20 acres.
Yeah.
And you grow the melons, and again, the name of the melons?
It's a winter melon.
Not watermelon.
Not watermelon. Winter melon.
Winter melon.
Yeah, winter
We
melon.
had some watermelon, but leave it there, maybe.
So
maybe,
you grow American watermelon as well?
I plant a lot of kind, maybe more than 100 kind total.
Wow,
Everything
100
here. More than 100 variety of crops in here.
right on this land?
Yes. This is bitter melon. There's bitter melons. And,
But wait a minute, what are these things on the...
several variety of bitter
Oh,
melon. Yeah, this is
look.
bitter melon. Yeah.
These are called bitter
Bitter melon.
melons.
Yes.
And what do they
Uh,
taste like?
It's sort of bitter. That's why it's called bitter melon.
What do they do with lemongrass?
Here, smells it.
Oh, it smells like citrus, like lemon.
Yes.
And what do they do with this?
You can make lemongrass tea out of it, and a lot of the Asian they cut it, they bruise it, just throw it in your soup, stir fry it. It makes the food, the flavor taste better.
See, you're right. I would have walked right by this, but there it is, right down there. Lemongrass. That's part of what they're growing here as well.
Okay.
I'm letting you do all the work.
Yeah.
Now you've got your whole family over here.
Yeah, right.
They help you a lot?
They help me sometimes when they come back to from school. But right now they have no school.
So they're working in the fields.
They help me just in the morning or sometimes when not so hot.
When it
when
heats
sunny,
up, the
maybe,
kids wimp out and you stay here.
Maybe.
He's carrying the melon in. And we got a whole little display. Come over here, Michael, and tell us what we've got set up here, because this kind of shows a variety.
Very little of what he have. He have over 100 crops here, and over here you have lemongrass, and you have the Hmong cucumber here.
Look
Hmong
at
cucumber.
this Hmong cucumber.
Yes, Hmong cucumber.
And I'm just going down the line
And
here.
then down here is the winter melon.
Uh-huh.
And then here's the snake gourd.
Snake
Snake
gourd.
Yes, snake gourd.
So you don't eat it?
Everything here is you eat it.
I got you.
Everything. Everything you eat it.
These are beans.
Yeah, the long beans. This is the white, lighter color.
Oh my gosh, look at what is this?
Also bitter
melon,
melon.
Hmong
Different.
beer.
Oh,
different
these are the
variety.
bigger version of what
Yes,
we just
yes,
saw
yes.
in the little
Yeah,
green
maybe
ones.
5 or 6 variety.
These are the white ones?
Yes.
Yeah, we have a short one too.
Look at this. And the green ones, you've got long
Yeah,
ones,
yeah.
you've got the
Yeah.
puffy ones.
Yeah,
Oh,
the short
these are...
one, like that.
Oh, wow.
But right now still young. Maybe when bigger, when like
Gets
that.
big.
But they like that.
And where does he sell these? What's the market for this?
He goes to farmers market. A lot of farmers, they drive maybe 3-4 hours from here to LA or San
Have
Francisco.
Californians developed a palate, a liking for this kind of exotic fruit and
Oh
vegetable?
yes, it's all over the place. The farmers, they can sell local or to farmers market, but other farmer they sells to worldwide. And
So these would go not only to farmers markets all over California, but these could go all over the world.
Yes.
Wow, look at this. Boy, this makes a statement. A bitter melon grown right here in Fresno. What are these? These are just,
The Thai hot chili.
oh boy.
High hot.
How hot are these?
Oh, very hot, you know. Very, very hot.
Look at
Small one, but oh, maybe you eat only one or two in a no
That's
more.
it.
Yeah,
That's it.
Yeah.
So when you see these at the farmer's market, remember,
Yeah.
they're very, very hot.
Yeah, very, very hot. The number one in the world.
This is one of his uncle.
So he's got literally the whole family working. And what are we looking at over here? This just looks like okra.
Yes, this is a regular okra. Yes,
So this is traditional
traditional.
okra right
okra,
here.
Right.
If we spray like that, we can eat raw. A little sticky.
Oh, can I have a piece?
Yeah, it's okay. Go ahead, try it.
That's okra.
Okra. Yes.
I know okra. We
Yeah.
eat okra.
Mhm. Can Michael make a translate for me a little bit, okay?
Well,
Michael có hai tia cho nó là bên nhà thì có tự ý có mò plá kể bao con nó tia giả chỉ khổ có lúc plá là con nó cho nó mà trong cuộc chậu quay ở một tông nó tê tờ lòng.
He said, what the family use if you get stomach ache, get something, your stomach ache in your stomach, you eat this and it cleans it.
Now
Look like
see,
a wild,
he
you know.
spoke Hmong because it's easier for him to
Right.
speak Hmong than it is English.
English.
The children all speak perfect
Oh
English.
yes, exactly.
Because when we was soldier in Lao country too early, we had no school. Just live in the jungle, find, like that. We had no the time to learn. Also, we had no education. Just we come to live in the United States, and we use only farmer only, help me only. We had no other way to go, like that. If we have a lot of high education, we can go over in the office to get some money.
But you speak very good English.
Oh, not too much. I learn the English with my son, my daughter. Sometimes they come from school, they talk, and I listen to them only, like that. My school.
I'm overwhelmed by the feeling I have walking through these fields. I don't feel like I'm in California. I know I'm in California, but it has a different feel to it, doesn't it?
It's the specialty crops and it's the ethnic farming that we see here. We don't have the mechanization on these small farms, and a lot of that is because of the crops, because they do require multiple harvesting, and you just can't mechanize it. And a lot of it is also the fact that they just can't afford to buy the machinery that would mechanically harvest a lot of these crops.
And is it because I know that these are exotic crops that I feel like I'm in kind of an exotic setting here?
In part, but I mean, you don't see this on the west side of Fresno County. You only see this where we have the Hmong and the Lao farming, where they trellis things up. We've got tall growing plants, we've got vining crops, and it just makes it look tropical and jungle. We've got, as we found out earlier, 100 crops on this 20 acres.
Oh boy, she's working away. They start working in the fields young, don't they, Michael?
Yes.
She's got her hoe, she's going to town with it right there. And here are the other, now what are we walking through right here?
These are looks like this is the yu choy.
The yu choy.
choy, yes.
Have we seen that yet?
Well, it's everything here. It's grown year round. So you have, mustard greens, yu choy, bok choy.
Yu choy like
Daiwan.
a green.
It's a green, yes.
And
It's on
you're
a table.
wearing a traditional, this is the traditional headgear
hat.
that you would
Yes,
wear.
yes,
Can we
it's
take it off and take a look at that?
Sure.
This is very interesting. Look at this. There's a little head.
Yeah, that hold your head, and so you have the air circulate and keep you cool under the sun.
Now, did you get this here in California?
Yes, we have this local, the local store here.
So there are enough Hmongs in
Yes.
California now
Yes.
that things like this can be bought in stores.
Yes. And Fresno County is the largest Hmong population, and we're the largest Hmong in the United States.
How many?
We have over 1,200 farmers here and over 800 Hmong farmers.
Wow. So wait a minute. Out of the 1,200 farmers in Fresno County, 800 of them are Hmong?
Hmong. The rest are Mien, Laotian, Cambodian, Vietnamese, Thai, Lao.
Wow. Oh, so you're saying there are 1,200 Asian farmers in Fresno County.
Yes, correct.
And they cover Laos, Cambodia,
Mien.
Vietnam.
Right.
Wow.
Vietnam. There's several groups from Laos, like the Miens and the Lahu, the Khmer, also from Laos.
Boy, you really have to know your stuff, don't you? There are a
It's
lot
very-
of different.
Yes, very diverse. Fresno County is the most diverse, and also now has been the leading number one agriculture in the nation for several years. So
Richard, did you have to learn all of this when all of this started happening?
My education in college was strictly with traditional American vegetables, so I had to learn about the unique Southeast Asian vegetables and the cultures when I came here. And part of my previous training was Peace Corps, so I got some cross-cultural training in Peace Corps.
But you know what? You've learned not only about these new exotic Asian vegetables and fruits, you've learned about the people and about the cultures of that part of the world as well.
Which makes it extra rewarding, because to work with the Hmong and the Lao and the Mien and these other Southeast Asian farmers, very, very nice, very, very friendly, hard working, extremely hard working, as you can see out here. So it's been a pleasure working with them, and I've learned, as I did in Peace Corps, I learned by working with them. Hopefully I help them as well, but I'm learning equally.
So we got the whole Vu family. Give us a wave. They have been here since 1992 and are very much a part of the texture and the fabric right here in the San Joaquin Valley. They've taken a break for just a minute to say goodbye, but as soon as we leave, they'll be back to work. Right, Mr. Vu? Absolutely. Give us a wave. We've had a wonderful time visiting with you this morning and learning about what you grow. Now it gets even more interesting because, Richard, we have seen the smaller operations, the small family farm operations here. This is a huge operation. You've brought us to
Cherta Farms, which is the largest Hmong farm in the United States.
So this is a big operation.
This is a big operation. Now, compared to the west side of Fresno, it's not big, but compared to all the other Southeast Asian farms, this is very big.
Okay, and we just happen to have the guy who knows firsthand. Your name, sir, is?
Ping.
Okay, and your father owns all of this.
Right.
You're the second generation who's working here.
Pretty much.
Tell us what we've got here. How big is this thing, and where do you send all your products?
Well, their entire farm here consists of a little bit over 100 acres, and we're growing different specialty crops like oppo and moquo. Then here we have Chinese eggplants. And
Yeah, now we saw some of these eggplants earlier today, but I've never seen them on the vine like this. Look at this. We saw some that are bigger than this. So these aren't quite ready to be picked yet, are they?
No,
They'll be there how much longer?
maybe about tomorrow or the day after.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. And where do you ship all of this?
Most of these we ship throughout California, but we do have markets out in New York, Ontario, or Vancouver, all in Canada.
And is it mainly to the Chinese community, to the Asian community, or is it are other cultures beginning to get into this kind of food as well?
Right. Well, the majority of our buyers are Chinese. However, we do sell specialty crops to more ethnic groups or to even home customers out in Minnesota and Wisconsin.
Really like
Right.
this.
Right.
And what about these? Are these popular?
Yes, they actually quite are. They're more of a crop that's it's more refreshing to the person to eat, and you can actually stir fry these, and they make a great additive to it.
Okay, so could we just cut one off there and cut it open and eat it right now, or does it need to be cooked and prepared in some kind of way? This is all new to me.
You can eat it right now, but it doesn't get as much flavor as if you were to cook it.
Now, you were born here in California.
Right
so
here in Fresno.
you are basically straddling two cultures in a way, aren't you?
Yes.
How hard is that for you?
It's kind of horrible because I'm losing one while I'm picking one up. Then as I try to go back, I kind of, forget.
So you're
Restless
saying
bee.
you're losing your Hmong
Yeah.
heritage, and because you're born and raised in Fresno, so you're kind of, do you speak Hmong?
I do, but I'm as fluent in Hmong as my relatives are fluent in English.
So what do you talk when you're at home, talking with your mom and dad?
I speak in Hmong, but sometimes I construct it in the English grammar, and it sounds weird to them or awkward.
Yeah.
Now, this is fascinating. Right here in the middle of the bitter melon field, right behind this umbrella, look what we have found. And Ping, this is very interesting. What are we looking at right now?
Well, these are our field workers, and usually they like to have lunch out in the middle of the fields because it's a lot more convenient than going to like a house or driving back and forth.
So they're just eating right out here in the middle of the field. And what are they having? And this is fascinating because you said this is typical Hmong food, a meal that they would be having.
Yeah. We have boiled pork with sour bamboo shoots. And then they have the watermelon slush where they scoop the watermelon in. It's more of like a refreshment instead of having straight water.
A watermelon slush.
Yeah.
So they've got rice, and what have they put inside the watermelon?
Watermelon is basically the watermelon itself. You just re-scoop it into itself to make the slush.
But the rice has liquid in it.
That's just rice with water. It's instead of having like a cup. Most Hmong people, instead of using a cup, they'd put just the rice in the water.
Wow. You just showed up. I've been talking to your son. I've been talking to your family members.
Well, he probably will be the next generation.
Yes, absolutely. Boy, you have got quite an operation right here.
Well, it's not that much that I anticipate. I wanted to do more.
Really?
Yes.
Because this is the biggest Hmong farm in California.
I would say so. And maybe the biggest Hmong farm in the United States.
Wow. And what kind of challenges does that present to you to run a farm this big?
Well, we used to run a very small farm, like a family farm, a couple acre plot. And now it become a bigger, and we have to know exactly when to put fertilizer and when to start what kind of crop.
It becomes more complicated, doesn't
it? Yes, very, very complicated now.
When you came here in 1980 from Laos, did you have any idea at all what you were going to do, how you were going to, support your family, what you were going to do for a living, what kind of opportunities this country might offer to you?
Well, I think I am just like any typical Hmong people. When we first came to this country, all we knew what we did was get away from Laos to try to live one more day. And so we did not anticipate what to do over here at all until we got over here and we looked around. We thought, all the skill that we brought with us was farming. And let's put this skill to work.
And how did you find the San Joaquin Valley and find that this is where you would choose to make your life?
Well, my family came to Orange County, and we heard that Fresno is the best place to grow produce. And we say, well, let's go up there and take a look.
So you came from Laos to Orange County to Fresno.
That's correct.
Now you are talking to them in Hmong.
Yes, I'm talking in Hmong.
Are they just recently here from Laos?
Yeah, they're just recently here visiting me.
Visiting?
Yes.
What do they do? Come over, visit, and you put them to work?
No, they come here. They wanted to test their skill and how we work over here so they can bring this knowledge and use back home.
So they are citizens of Laos.
They are citizens of Laos.
They've come over here to work on your farm outside of Fresno, and then they're going to go back to Laos and take what they've learned with them.
Well, I could not say they work for me, but they come here to get more like get training.
Get training.
Yes.
And they look like they're
They are farmers at home. So,
farmers at home.
Yeah, so they wanted to go into mass production.
So this is something very special for them to see a big operation like you have.
Yes.
Okay, we're ending up in a very traditional way, aren't we, Michael?
Yes, this is the very typical Hmong food we're gonna have for lunch today.
Okay, now what is it we're having?
We're having the Hmong cucumber scoop. Now it's like
It looks kind of like a slush.
Yes, it is.
So this is just from you've just scooped out the insides
Yes,
of
I
a
just-
cucumber and scooped it into here, added a little water, and how are we supposed to eat this?
Then we're going to take a spoon
Uh-huh.
and dip in it and
And slurp.
slurp.
Let's slurp.
That's it.
Thank you.
Mmm. Oh, it's nice and cold too. Wow, this is such a perfect way to end a perfect day.
Yes,
Thank you, sir, for this wonderful introduction for all of us. Now, there are Hmongs living all over California, especially up in the Sacramento and Yuba City areas.
Yes.
But this is the heaviest concentration here in Fresno.
Right. Fresno County is the largest Hmong concentration. Yes.
Wow, this has been absolutely wonderful. Thank you. We got the whole family out here. Thank you for making this up for us. You got the boys here, you got the family here, you've got friends and relatives out working in the fields to take their knowledge back to Laos with them. Life is good, isn't it?
Well, life here is so much better than way back home.
Yeah.
So I would say we have excellent life here.
Yeah.
It's a good opportunity for us to
We call it the
make this
American
one.
dream.
The American dream. Boy, that is what we have seen today, because not only have we learned about this new chapter in agricultural history here in the San Joaquin Valley, but we've learned about this new chapter of cultural and ethnic history here in California in the San Joaquin Valley as well. This wonderful story, this American success story right here outside of Fresno. This success story that is very much a part of California's gold. What an interesting and inspirational story about the Hmong farmers in the San Joaquin Valley. Now, if you'd like to go on this adventure again or donate a copy to your local school or library, it's available on video cassette and on DVD. All you have to do is call 1-800-266-5727 and we'll be glad to send it to you right away.
Whenever our nation wants a glimpse of the future, it looks to California, a place that's always embraced the new. As a company founded in California, we at Chevron believe the same. So today we're in our home state, harnessing the sun, developing a new generation of fuels. We've been here more than 125 years, and we're looking ahead and seeing what's possible. This is the power of human energy, Chevron.